Now, in today's lesson, what we will be doing is solving simultaneous equations using the matrix method. Solving simultaneous equations using the matrix method. Now, a simultaneous equation is an equation where we have two or more unknowns. We have two equations with two or more unknowns, and we have to find each value of x and y. Now, when we're solving such a simultaneous equation, the first thing we have to do is write it in the form a times x is equal to b. A times x is equal to b. How do we write it in that form? What is that form? Now, a represents the variable or the coefficients of each variable. A represents the coefficient of each variable. Note that each letter is placed on the letter. So 4x and 3x minus 5y plus 2y, one under the other. So it's important we have it in this form. A represents the coefficients of our x and y variables. So we write it as a 2 by 2 matrix. So A will be 4 minus 5, 3, and 2. X represents our variables. X represents our variables. So X will be X and Y. And B is equal to our answer, minus 6 and 7. So this is A, this is X, here we have B. So first thing, we write it in this form. Write it in this form. Second step, we do. Now note that, how will we go about finding the answer? Note that here we have A times X is equal to B. What we're trying to find is what X is equal to. So therefore, we have to take A to the other side because we want X by itself. So when we take A to the other side, anytime we take an operation over the equal sign, we do the opposite, or the inverse operation. So what we need to do is X is equal the inverse of A multiplied by B. So for us to solve this equation, we need to know the inverse of A. And we would have found that. Now, how do we go about finding the inverse of A? Remember what we do? First, we have to find the determinant. Find the determinant. So if we have A, the determinant of A is equal to, notice with our matrix, the leading diagonal, which is 4 and 2. So 4 times 2, subtract our other diagonal, minus 5 times 3. So 4 times 2 will give us 8, minus 5 times 3 will give us 15, minus 5 times 3 will give us 15, and since it's a minus 5 times 3 will give us negative 15, and since we have a negative here, the negative and negative will make it a positive. All right, so then we will have 23. Our determinant is 23. The next thing we need is our adjoint. Note or remember, to find our adjoint, we switch the leading diagonals, the number of the leading diagonal. So where 4 is, we will put 2, and where 2 is, we will put 4. And change the signs of the other diagonal. We change the signs of our other diagonal. And we switch the signs or change the signs of the other diagonal. So the negative 5 becomes positive 5 and 3 becomes negative 3. And the inverse is found. The inverse is found by multiplying A inverse is equal 1 over our determinant times our adjoint. Now, let's multiply. Now, multiplying, remember when we multiply, we multiply each number by our 1 over the determinant. So each number by 1 over the determinant we will get 2 times 23 will give us 2 over 23. 2 times or 5 times 1 over 23, 5 over 23. Negative 3 times 1 over 23, and 4 times 1 over, and we have our inverse, the inverse of our matrix A. Now, notice that to find our unknown values of x and y, we need to multiply the inverse times our b. Right? The inverse times b. So A inverse times b will be equal to 2 over 23, 5 over 23, minus 3 over 23, and 4 over 23. And we go ahead and multiply that by minus 6, 7. All right. So let's remind ourselves how to multiply. Remember, to multiply, we go row by column, row by column. So let's go ahead and do that. So first row by our column, that will give us 2 over 23 times minus 6 plus 5 over 23 times 7. Then second row, first column again, minus 3 over 23 times minus 6 plus 4 over 23 times 7. So let's multiply. Now we will have minus 12 over 23 plus 35 over 23 18 over 23. Negative 3 times negative 6 gives us positive 18 plus 28 over 23, which will be equal to negative 12 over 23 plus 35 over 23. Since the denominators are the same, we can put back our same denominator. Negative 12 plus 35, negative 12 plus 35 will give us 23. And 18 plus 28, 18 plus 28 will give us 46. So 23 divided by 23 will give us 1. 46 divided by 23 will give us 2. So that means, remember, we had it in our form x and y is equal. So that means x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. And we solve that equation simultaneously. All right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write another one on the board. And what you can do is pause the video and work it and then see if you have the same answer like I have. Okay, here is another example. Now remember, if you think you're positive and you think you can work it by yourself, Pause the video and work it and see if you have the same answer. If you're not sure, let us go ahead and work together. Now, remember, when we have such a simultaneous equation, the first thing we do, we write it as in the form ax is equal to b. A represents the coefficients of all the variables. Note, we have x and x, y and y. So our coefficients will be 2, 5, 3, 2. X represents our unknown, x and y. And our variables will be, our answer, or B, represents our answer, minus 16 and minus 2. All right? So first we have it in this form. The next thing we need to remember is that if we need to find x, we need to find the inverse of A. A inverse times B will give us x. So we have to find the inverse of A. How do we go about finding the inverse of A? What is the first thing we need to find? Yes, we need to find our determinant. We need to find our determinant. So, reminding ourselves that the determinant of A is equal to our leading diagonal, which is 2 times 2, minus our other diagonal, which is 5 times 3. So that will give us 2 2s 4, 5 3s 15. So our determinant is negative 11. So if you have negative 11 as your determinant, well done. Right? Negative 11. Next, we need to find our adjoint. We need to find our adjoint. Because we have 2 there and 2 there, it means that switching it, we'll still have the same 2 and 2 in the same position. So, no trouble there. Then we change our signs. We change the signs of 5 and 3. So since 5 is positive, that becomes minus 5. And since 3 is positive, that becomes minus 3. Now, what do we do next? Remember, to find our unknown, we multiply our inverse. So next, we need to find the inverse. Now, the inverse of A is 1 over the determinant multiplied by the adjoint. So that will give us, multiplying each term by 1 over negative 11 will give us minus 2 over 11. Negative times a negative is a positive, which will give us 5 over 11. Again, negative times a negative gives us a positive 3 over 11. And negative times a positive gives us a negative, which will give us minus 2 over 11. Then, our next step is to multiply our inverse by our answer. Right? So we're multiplying A inverse times B. Now, A inverse, we have that as minus 2 over 11, 5 over 11, 3 over 11, and minus 2 over 11, times AB, or times B, which is minus 16 and minus 2. So now we can go ahead and work that out to see what our answer is for X and Y. So let us try. So we have row by column, which will give us minus 2 over 11 times minus 16 plus 10, plus 5 over 11 times minus 2. Then we will have 3 over 11 times minus 16 plus negative 2 over 11 times 2, negative 2. Right? That gives us negative 2 times negative 16 gives us 32. 32 over 11 plus, that will be negative 10 over 11, and 3 times negative 16, 3 times negative 16 give us minus 48 over 11 plus four over 11. All right, and we will simplify that. Now let's simplify. 32 over 11 plus 10 plus negative 10 over 11. Since one is positive and the other negative, we will subtract. That will leave us with 22 over 11 because the bigger number is positive. So 22 over 11, negative 48 plus 4. The two numbers have different signs, one negative, one positive. So we subtract, and since the bigger number is negative, our answer will be negative. That will give us minus 44 over 11. Now, remember, that gives us x and y is equal to 22 divided by 11 will give us 2, and negative 44 divided by 11 will give us minus 4. So that means x is equal to 2 and y is equal to minus 4. So there we have our answer. Now, if you got it right, well done. If you did not get it right, look at this video again, practice, see where you made a mistake, and then you can go and complete some of the worksheets to help you to get better at it.